Omnende paro kumboji jabe yama cha salo kangilu du dimiti ni da tarse be chimi de moji ni ge to ko de se ko se mondo no ge se be to so ko na puji de se yena de je yin de so ru de ro nyu mo ni da de je de je mari mo se de wor ni go chimi chu de de ne se je se ju de ne se ge se ju da ju de ju yin yin da lo mo si jam par yang la de umar bza na de umar bza na de Marabzanodi, 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 Marabanodi, 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 Kurum the Judy. Ubedana, share of Britanum, Lebas, Imagine, Kumbo Jabe, and Chaucer, because that double the bomb, choose a chiver than Kumbo Jimmy, came a variant. Padmasambhava Rinpoche dagi chura peme de chula kati chimbe gune chisung de kusung tuki ngudu sadhu se. So tonight, before our meditation practice, I thought to explain a little bit about Dharma. As it is said that Dharma is virtuous at the beginning, Dharma is virtuous in the middle, and Dharma is virtuous at the end. You know, Tamargewa, Partugewa, Tamargewa. So, you know, in a way we can say why we have to go through first stage, second stage, third stage. Why not just the, you know, the last stage, you know, why explaining so many things? But I guess it never really worked. When we look at the minds of being, and it's clearly like we have so many philosophies, we have so many doctrines, we have so many ideas and philosophies, though there is, we all have one simple mind. You can say just your mind, you and your mind, or just mind. And not only that, the nature of all minds are same. As far as emotions are concerned, same emotion, feeling of love, or feeling of feeling of not being loved, or feeling of jealousy, or feeling of desire, feeling of hatred and envy, all afflictions are same. Furthermore, you know, feeling of wanting happiness and freedom and liberation is like universal, total universal, not just like one's cosmology, but infinite cosmology is there in the universe. As infinite as universe, the vastness, the same equal infinite in wanting happiness and freedom, just varies in a simplified way, absolutely the same. But then why there are so many teachings, you know? Just if you look at Buddha Dharma itself, there is teaching of Hinayana, teaching of Mahayana Sutra, teaching of Vajrayana Tantra, teaching of Mahamudra, teaching of Dzogchen, and that also among them, various level of teaching just within Dzogchen itself and in Mahamudra. And then needless to say in the Hinayana and Mahayana general teachings. And if you look at Christianity, they're Methodists, they have Catholics, they have Protestant, they have Seventh-day Adventists, you know, all many. Same thing I bet in Judaism too, Orthodox Judaism, Unorthodox Judaism, and Hasidic, and many other schools. And if you look at Hinduism, Hinduism has many different schools. Islam also have a number of schools. So this has been like every philosophy or every school of thought, all trying to figure out finally what is the truth and what is the reality. And so many different points of views are presented. So now, as far as I'm not going to speak about other tradition which I'm not really familiar with, like Judaism and Christianity much, though I know in a simplified presentation, I think is eternalistic viewpoint, philosophical viewpoint. Um, there are generally three viewpoints in, I think, in the entire universe. One is eternalism, one is nihilism, and one is the middle path. So when beside those three viewpoints, there's no such thing philosophical. I can probably say it doesn't exist at all beside those 3 points. One way or another, all philosophy, viewpoints, school of thoughts fits in one of those categories, either eternalism or nihilism or the middle path. And the middle path is only the Buddha Dharma, is the only teaching which fits neither on the eternalistic side, nor on the nihilistic side. In between, it's not like trapped in between something, but it's like transcendence of all fixation and extreme is what is known as middle path. So, but however, though there are general these three, general viewpoints of these three different viewpoints existing in our mind, of course, we can label it as Christianity, we can label it as nihilist, atheist, we can label it as Buddhist or middle path view, but actually it's your point of view, it's how your mind begins to manifest. You're the one who made this. Your mind create this view of eternalism or nihilism or the recognition of middle path. It's nothing beside your mind, all these viewpoints. I mean, in a way, we're all human beings, We all have, whether you're born in East or West, you have your nose right here and two eyes here. Easterners doesn't have their eye on the backside, and and the Westerners didn't have their nose in the top. We all have nose in the center here, eyes there, mouth here. It's like common, and but it's how the viewpoint, how our mind begin to understand and relate to that and make that as important. It's basically how one begin to unfold oneself, whether right or wrong, unfold oneself on the journey of life. Let's say on the journey of life, in the journey of your life. So, and sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. And that is for you to discover what is right and what is wrong. No one can do that for you. It's a question of mind. It's not a question of object. If you are a little baby, for example, and there's a snow outside, and if you are kind of naked, your parents will put a warm clothes on you. That's external thing. One can do that. Or your friend who is very hot, if he or she is feeling very hot in a summer, high temperature, you can help them to lift off their clothes and make them feel fresh, or turn on the AC or whatever. You can do that. But when it's come to mind, no one can do it. The consciousness, then only you can change the view. You have to realize what is the truth and what is not true. Only you can do it. So from that point, Dharma really become a quest of a very personal journey. Dharma is not like, you become a some kind of, part of big institution or like, group or anything. It's very individual journey on the path, because it is this very mind, if it get confused, is this very mind. And when you clear that confusion, it's also this very mind. So therefore, it is so important that the study of the Dharma, uh, study of Dharma, actually it includes studying of it in the Buddhist path, studying of the eternalistic view too, studying of nihilistic view too. That's what they do in a monastery. They do debate and discussions, very highly encouraged, so that you can sort it out in your mind, what is the right kind of view and what is wrong kind of view. So there are many things like that, and for that you have to study the knowledge you gain through study, and then in the middle the knowledge you gain through introspection. uh, that's much deeper than knowledge you gain through study first. We go to school, then we come and do a homework, which is more important, because homework you begin to figure out, what the teacher taught you, its meaning. And then finally, through that experience, and knowledge you gain through experience, such as knowledge gained through meditation. Meditation is finally, like what the teaching says. Uh, and then secondly is what the logic, it has to make logical sense. You see, in Buddha Dharma, logic and making sense is very important. It's not really based on blind faith. Though there are certain things we may not know right away, but therefore it's important that one use inferent logic, because inferent logic is what involves in introspection. When you gain the knowledge through introspection, inferent logic is very important. That's how you come to understand the reality of the nature. And then the knowledge, uh, uh, logic, introspection, logic, and then the instruction as far as meditation is concerned, then the instruction given by the teacher how to meditate, that particular meditation, whether it's shamatha meditation or vipassana meditation or mahamudra meditation or dzogchen meditation, that particular instruction called pit instruction, direct instruction from teacher to the student passed on, that has to be there. And then finally, then your own meditation practice, your own direct experience. So when you have this whole level, uh, 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 four level, the teaching based on the transmission or the teaching, the instruction based on the teaching, instruction based on logic to the second level, and thirdly is the pit instruction, and then fourthly is your direct uh, perception or direct experience of your mind. In that way, then the meditation practice becomes very clear. And that's how the way to practice in Buddha Dharma. That is how the Buddha Dharma is practiced in that way. So Buddha Dharma is not left like simply on prayer and Buddha, you who know, you take care of me. It doesn't really work that way. Though devotion is very important part of the path at some point, but you also have to study and gain the knowledge through studying, then gain knowledge through reflecting, and thirdly gain knowledge through meditation. So if this step-by-step sequence is not important, then there is, Buddha would have said, yeah, you just pray to me and have faith and everything will be taken care. You will realize the ultimate thatness or ultimate reality, the enlightenment. It doesn't happen that way. You need to go through a sequence. You see, hearing, reflection, experience, direct experience. So reflection, introspection involves infinite logic. Then meditation finally gives the direct experience, direct perception experience. So this is very important, how you need to follow the path. Now, now the sequence, why there are so many different philosophy just within one religion, if you say so, like whether within Christianity or Buddhism or any other traditional religion, or any philosophy, there's so many different ideas. Even in politically, we call Democrats, social democrats, and who else? I don't know the rest. So many other political viewpoints, liberals and conservatives. You see, so many, or ultra conservative. So like that. So this is like, because beings, due to their mental development of karma, certain things is more suitable and makes more in tune with their perception at that moment, you know. So then same thing in Buddha Dharma, so many different level of teaching based on different sequence of one personal journey on the path. So now, Buddha would have just said, the ultimate nature according to Buddhist teaching is emptiness when we do meditation. Just realize emptiness, that's it. That's the end of the story. But, if Buddha would have just said that, there could have been a lot of problem, at the beginning. Therefore, he didn't give the teaching of shunyata at the very first teaching. When the Buddha gave the Four Noble Truth teaching, he gave first noble truth of suffering. And the second one was noble truth of cause of suffering. And the third was the noble truth of cessation. And the fourth is the noble truth of the path. So there is a reason and very profound meaning in the sequence, the step by step. Because if Buddha, let's say, if Buddha would have said the nature of all phenomena is emptiness, then everyone just presume emptiness. We could fall into nihilistic. And then what would have happened? If we fall into a nihilistic, we live in a cause and effect world, karmic world, mundane world, relative world, conventional world, whatever you want to call it, there's the same meaning, conventional world. So in conventional world, you have the experience, direct experience of conventional reality. Within conventional reality, there's a conventional appearance and conventional reality. Also, we can define into two things: conventional reality and conventional appearance. So we can relate physically to the conventional world. We can see the conventional world. We can hear in this conventional world. We can smell in this conventional world. We can taste in this conventional world. We can feel in the conventional world. And we can experience in the conventional world. There is stages of development there, how your mind perceives those things. So though when you look at the reality, of this conventional world, we can say, and even in the quantum physics, today they realize that the formation or the composite of this body, composite of this, whether external physical place, mountain, trees, sea, oceans, and then internal beings, humans, animals, whatever, the composition is made out of atom. And then though the essence of that very fundamental atom, we can no longer see that as an inherent entity, but rather it is formation, or it's a pile of infinite particles, pile of so many particles, like energy, what is generally, I think, the word energy is used by scientists, like, I'm sorry, I couldn't bring the English terminology to that, but basically lots and lots and lots of particles coming together. It appears to be like that. In essence, it doesn't have inherent existence, but it appears to be like that. Such as it appears to be a human, or it appears to be a cow, it appears to be a mountain, it appears to be land or sea. So there is a reality to that nature, and there is an appearance to that nature, within the conventional world also. But somehow, the question we are talking about this thing here, why we are talking about it, because our whole affliction comes from seeing this, not perceiving the reality as reality, but we seeing the appearance as something real. Instead of seeing the devoid of inherent existence, we see the person as something very real, fixated. And so my cell is fixated, that other is fixated. We label oneself my side, your side, my friends, my enemy, and then all this thing, how we engage into all affliction comes one after another. Then we create this tremendous complicated karma, complicated actions. We get involved, and it is a reaction. There's the energy. And that is a reality of conventional truth. We cannot escape from that. Once we created that particular energy, we get involved in that action. It is bound to give back the reaction to that. And that's called karma. So no one can escape from karma. And the source of the karma is not really external thing. The source of the karma is one's own mind, the dualistic mind. In this case, dualism has a fixation. The very notion of dualism has a fixation. Otherwise, if we can see the absence of inherent existence in duality, it wouldn't be duality. You see, it's perfectly make logical sense. The fact that it needs in, I think the Roman language or the Latin language is called duality. In the Tibetan word, it's called needs in, grasping to two. You see, the word grasping is there, grasping to two. And when the non-duality is called ni met, no two. So the English language is non-dual. The Tibetan word is no two. The reality is no two. On the conventional side is called grasping to two. So you see, I think definitely, I think, I know, there's been great philosophers in Greece, and Greece is particularly in the Western civilization. The Greeks has been great, and I'm sure they were wonderful. I don't know all Plato and all the philosophy of them, but I think as when it's come to spiritual, deeper to our consciousness mind, I don't think anyone has so far can answer better than with the Dharma. Like duality, just the way explanation of duality, ni zin means grasping to two, and then non-duality means like ni met no two. You see, so it's a very different, quite a different, deeper meaning than saying non-dual or duality. So basically, it involves a fixation in duality. The fixation comes from the ignorance. It's a play of the ignorance. It get caught up to a conventional phenomena instead of seeing its conventionality. Okay, I don't want to create a new English word. Instead of seeing its conventional nature, it sees its conventionality. Instead of seeing its conventionality, 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 instead of seeing as absence of inherent existence, it begins to see something fixated to that. Mine, I, and you. Something I very fixated, you very fixated. That's how duality begins to develop, and that's why we call dualistic mind is a wrong perception. Dualistic mind, and then we get fixated, then habituated. Once you get fixated, habituated in that, then all the rest of the emotions, affliction emotions, anger, desire, jealousy, envy, hatred, all the rest of the 84,000 or infinite passions and neuroses arise, all become in that pot, in the pot of duality, fixated. All of those afflictions, instead of seeing its playful nature and liberation turning into wisdom, it all turned into neurosis. Why? Because of fixation. Get trapped to that, not seeing the conventional reality, seeing the appearance of convention. Of course, we see that. We cannot run away from conventional appearance. We see the world, we see people, we smell the food, we hear sound. We cannot run away from that. But we miss seeing its reality. And with seeing the reality, we got fixated, taking deadly serious of yourself, deadly serious of others. So therefore, we have wars, unending wars in immemorial time. Whether war as a country to country, we have two great world wars, and probably we have even earlier during Genghis Khan time, that was like a war itself, pretty big war. He controlled whole of Europe, conquered China. He conquered China, he conquered Tibet, he conquered all the way to Moscow, I guess, didn't have a ship, otherwise he would have conquered America too. So anyway, so we have so many wars, and then we have so many wars within our community. We have so many wars finally to oneself. The love and a hate relationship with your own mind projection. Always. That's the fixation, that's the power of ignorance. Sometimes people say, oh, these are bad times. Bad time is just simply an excuse in some way. Your own confused mind getting so fully into that is known as externally as decadent time, but actually the neurosis burning like fire and affliction and confusion getting so fixated, deadly fixated. And so there is all this pain and suffering infinitely that people go through. So therefore, it is very important, generally there is a saying, you can't really, you can't really empty samsara on the general viewpoint, but you can empty yourself, means you can empty your fixation, you can empty your neurosis and affliction as a personal journey. As a personal, you can see the truth, you can bring forth your bodhicitta mind, practice warm-heartedness, compassion, and then finally seeing the wisdom, prajna, the most deepest is that. And then you can find liberation, So liberation starts from oneself. Yes, you should do world peace prayer. That does have an effect. But to start with, you got to start personally within yourself. You make a peaceful world in your own mind, and then you respect cause and effect. You understand the nature of cause and effect, which is conventional reality. And by understanding conventional reality, you go deeper to the absolute reality, because absolute reality is not outside of conventional reality. They are one. The essence, what is known as emptiness, is the essence, the absence of fixation of inherent existence is the ultimate reality. You can logically, inferred logic first, when you use, you can realize that. But then you bring that into practice through direct perception. That comes from meditation. It will not come from analytical examining, because what happens when you examine, there is a point for it to examine. There is a point where you need to introspect, but it has its limit. At some point, you got to drop the investigation, you got to drop the introspection, and then you just have to follow, at that time, what is known as the pit instruction, passed on from the teacher to the student, teacher-student. From ancient time in the lineage masters have passed to their student and their student to student, pointing out the reality of absolute truth. And through that meditation, instruction, practice, then one will find liberation from samsara, cyclic existence. Otherwise, chasing after waves, you cannot. You can, if you try to grab ripples of water, try to control, you will create more ripples. When you try to dip your hand in the water, it will create more ripples. You try to grab and make it less, it's not going to happen. It's like stirring the water. You will make it more muddier, not make it more clear. Now what you got to do? You have to just drop that at some point and then go to the instruction given to you how to meditate. Whether it's shamatha meditation, then you follow exactly how to do according to the shamatha meditation. That is very important, because without some level of, in the general Buddhist teaching, shamatha meditation is very, very important, being introduced by the teacher to the student, and student need to practice shamatha meditation. Shamatha means calm abiding. This very, like a hot boiling water, for example, our mind is like constantly cooking, boiling, creating so many things. It needs to calm down. Otherwise, you're being burnt. You're being like with tremendous heat. It's like being in a sauna 24 hours. You will go crazy. That's why we are all a little crazy in samsara all the time. So therefore, in order to first bring the craziness a little bit down, shamatha meditation is very important. Shamatha means Sanskrit word, calm abiding. How to bring this emotion and affliction to a low degree, how to cool it down, how to make the mind calm. And that is the first stage. It will transform you from your aggression. You see, we have a lot of aggression in our mind. And we have so many, cravings and aggression and this and that. It will calm it down. Once it calms down, then the wheel of obscuration, not able to see the absence of inherent existence or fixation. Fixation will only begin to get clear, like the clouds which clear in the sky. Moment first, your mind has to be calm. Once your mind begins to have calm, then it begins to have a special relationship that you build with calmness, peace, joy within yourself. That begins to arise. When that begins to arise, then you are less dependent with your aggressions. And what does that really mean, that you are less dependent with your aggression? You're less dependent because the problem with the ego, or problem with the ignorance, if I go one step further, problem with the ignorance can only survive with attention. Ignorance cannot survive if there's no attention. And that attention is the sense of I. The ignorance is sense of I, grasping, I, ego. You see, the fixation. It's completely seeing like a hallucinated way, in a way. Seeing where there's no real sense of I, we begin to experience I. And then, you see, yes, I like, people say today in modern world, oh, I love myself, I like myself, I like. When I like myself, then all this affliction comes to you. And when there's a lot of suffering, then people can handle it. I'm not saying that you should not love yourself. It's a different thing. You need to see the clear light inside you. You don't need to live with ignorance. You got to wake up from your ignorance and see what is the true nature. So it's not easy. Instantly, you can just dive into true nature of emptiness. First, you need to calm down your mind. There's a sequence. You need to calm down your mind, and then mind that your mind is so rich. From the ultimate, from the Mahayana teaching, but the Dharma says that there's basic goodness in everyone's mind. Buddha nature, or in the seed of enlightenment, is in everyone's heart, in everyone's mind. And that quality of enlightened mind definitely has to have a wisdom, right? Otherwise, it can't be a seed of enlightenment. That is like our spaciousness, or means absence of ego, absence of fixation, absence of all wrong views. That is the basic goodness. And it is not just like nothingness. It emits constant, rich quality, which is is inherent. That quality is inherent. So when one realizes that quality, one become that quality we practice called Bodhisattva yana. The essence is Buddha. The quality and the dance of that is Bodhisattva yana. So this is, let's say, that is from the enlightened point of view. Now, from the unenlightened point of view, right now, what we have, instead of in the place of that vastness of shunyata, the wisdom, we have ignorant, grasping, which constantly needs attention. And then when it cannot get attention, there's, in the modern world, where there's a lot of speed, no time, people like morning time didn't have time to eat breakfast, but then afternoon, evening time, come back and get so exhausted. The whole life is spent. So you feel my time is so precious. And instead of seeing the openness, you get so fixated, and then every little attention, if it doesn't fulfill your aspiration, you get angry. You're ready to attack. And then from that, that level of aggression, a level of envy, level of jealousy, level of hatred, level of every possible affliction will arise. And every possible affliction will brings tremendous suffering into your life. So therefore, the first thing to do is to calm down that now. Instead of getting panic, or instead of relating to that attention of that grasping mind, of that identity of ego, you just need to calm down when you do meditation. So you sit first, and then totally don't give yourself too much demand. You see, sometimes when we say, oh, I love myself, I never really understood that personally. Yes, when you truly see the reality, genuine love is there. There's no worry about that. But when you comes with this idea today, like I hear Hollywood stars saying, oh, I love myself. And then they fight with others, explaining how I love myself, this and that. Gets so crazy. They're fighting, they're suing each other, they're doing this, they're doing that. How confusion, because they're constantly seeing every attention not to be missed. So, no need to explain much about affliction, the nature of affliction. It appears like they're doing a favor, but it's completely the opposite effect. So therefore, the first thing to do, instead of putting so much demand on yourself, drop the all your demand. So when you sit on the zafu, when you do meditation, so you sit, you tell yourself, on this seat is my body, the zafutan or chair, wherever you're sitting or meditating. On this seat, this is my body. In my body is my mind. And now mind relax. Like cowboys have lasso. If they drop the lasso, they don't have to tie things, just like you drop it. You drop the whole rope that you tie yourself emotionally, tie yourself, in every aspect of your mind. Just drop the whole thing. And then even drop the notion of your thoughts, which means if, you don't have to look for a nice thought in meditation. If you try to look for a good thought, again, you're putting demand. There's a saying, if you have a hope to the gods, the fear to the demon will come together. If there's hope, there's fear. Hope and fear comes together. Your ultimate nature of clear light is free of hope and free of fear. It's so rich that it can the nature of three kayas, the Sambhoga kaya nature, which is rich and fulfilled of enjoyment. It's natural quality. But when we don't realize our nature, we're like a beggar. We feel like a poverty mentality. So much poverty mentality is like when you see an aggressive beggar on the street that, if you don't give something, they're ready to attack you. Then you feel, that's really a bad guy. He shouldn't be like that, whatever. But it's like we are mentally like mental poverty level that we need to put so much control of everything. Every speck of our thoughts, every speck of emotion. We can't live even for a moment, just like free. Yet we want freedom, but we don't know how to be free. Because we don't know how to deal with the mind. The root cause is to deal with the mind. So meditation practice is directly working with your mind. That is the first thing you need to know. If you want to know yourself, you got to meditate. Otherwise, you will never know your mind. So the instruction and the method how you use and the discipline in doing is very important. So then when you sit, so you don't put demand on yourself. You don't say, I should have these special thoughts, or this is a bad thought, I should get rid of it. You don't do that in meditation. You allow, if it's good thought, you recognize that good thought, and it's just a label. It's just a label, good thought, let go. There's nothing to make big deal out of it. In fact, there's nothing to make a big deal out of in meditation practice. Then if it's a bad thought, then you feel so guilty. This is so bad. I'm not a good practitioner. I'm not a good person. I have this bad thought. That also you see this is a conceptual thought, labeling thought, like a cloud, and you just leave it. It will dissolve by itself. The ocean never judge if it's like 100 feet waves or like a 2-centimeter wave. Both are just simply wave. It comes from the ocean, it dissolves back into the ocean. It never make any big deal. Same thing, if you can remain in your awareness. So when you do meditation, first, before you get deeper to the awareness, you need to just have a spot in your mind. Okay, this thought, good thought, is also thought. It's conceptual thought. Bad thought is also conceptual. Just let go. When you see that, don't make any pushy meditation. Pushy meditation is like, this is so bad, I've got to get rid of it, I've got to let go. That's what I mean by pushy. And you bring aggression in your meditation. The whole point is to how to lower your aggression, how to free your aggression. not how to build more aggression through meditation practice also. You see, there are many traps when you do meditation. You have to watch your mind. So therefore, of course, you will sometimes, due to strong habits, certain emotions arise. You will feel a little bit, I've got to be a little strong in my practice, and then you again go back and sit, or sometimes you take a little break, or if it's too strong, you can't handle, or then you open the window, take a fresh air, and then it will clear, and then you can again go and sit. So you have to find out in which way you can clear that cloud or your emotions into your awareness, how you can clear that. This is important. Then as you find a method, you gain more confidence. Then, of course, now in post-meditation state, you have to have some discernment, judgment. Oh, this is good, this is bad. You can't say, bring the meditation practice at this point. Maybe someday you become fully Buddha, then nothing may matter. But until the time, we have to respect conventional realities. So, when you see your friends and loved ones, you relate to them in a nice manner. And then if someone give you a hard time, you also bring compassion. That's part of the practice of Dharma. Bring warmth, bring love, and bring caring, and bring whatever practice, 6 paramita for immeasurable you can do. Try to transform your mind on that instead of allowing yourself being completely gone into the wind with afflictions. You don't want to do that. And if you can do it further, you can bring meditation practice in all situations, even in post-meditation state. That depends how well you meditate in your home. You see, every day you need to meditate in order to gain confidence in your ground mind. Because right now, you're so habituated. Right now, you're fixated in every possible emotions and habits. So you get blown away. Moment a circumstance arises, you will just be blown away and you will react in that way. So you don't have much control to your mind. You don't have much control. Yes, you say, yeah, it's my free choice. It's not your free choice, because your true free choice, you want to be free and happy. And when you get trapped in a situation like that, you're not happy, you're suffering. So you lost free choice in some way. So if you want a free choice, you got to gain to know deeper of your mind. Then you can relate to phenomena in the right way. Otherwise, you're blown away with this habit and that habit and this circumstance and that circumstance. That's how things are. So therefore, in order to transform, now first you have to meditate. And then in post-meditation state, I would highly advise, follow the Bodhisattva yana path, compassion, warm-heartedness, work with your venues, especially anger or any particular emotion arises, even it may be painful for you for the time being, and just work with that. At some point you will be free. It will transform, it will change. Your life will change. Your life will change for better. Your life will change for, being free from that, which haunts you all the time. So therefore, that is the way of the Dharma. Dharma is an individual journey, and it's up to you whether how you succeed or not. Buddha said, I've shown you the path of liberation. Now it's up to you whether you gain enlightenment, freedom or not. That's in your hand. But you have to go step by step. You have to go step by step from the teaching of Four Noble Truth to teaching of the Bodhisattva yanas, or whichever practice you are doing, Vajrayana or Mahamudra, Dzogchen, you got to follow that, with a genuine approach every day with a discipline, and you will find freedom from ignorance and freedom from the clutches of fixation and ego. You will find that because that's your true nature. Your inherent nature is clear light, a basic goodness, not something that you are a being of just being trapped in habits. Habits are just mental play. You see, habits are mental play. You can transform that. It has no inherent existence. So therefore, what we're doing tonight, sitting practice of meditation, which will begin now, is working with your mind, uh, and when we do the meditation, please try doing sitting practice without putting demand on yourself, including that I have to get realized, I have to find freedom. Then when you put that big expectation on yourself, then again, that will again bind you. There is a saying in meditation, if a red dog bites you and a black dog bites you, the injury is same. The black dog bite is not going to be anything lighter than the white dog bite. So that whether you are trapped by a good concept or whether you are trapped by a bad concept, you are trapped equally. You're tied up. Whether there's a rope on a Lhasa Apsu door, cute little one, or one German Shepherd, or one of those pit dog, what do you call the very aggressive one, as far as being tied up is the same thing. You see, so therefore the ultimate point is meditation you have to deeply understand that meditation is to lead you to liberation from the root of your ignorance, from dualistic phenomena, this ignorance that we are trapped in, and then truly seeing your deeper awareness. That's finally where the meditation is to lead to. So then let's do meditation now. So please sit comfortably on your zafu, meditation cushion, chair, whatever you have. And then now when you sit, say yourself, on this chair or on this zafu is my body. In my body is my mind. And now you drop the mind without any demand, sort of. And then you sit straight, gaze straight forward, like about 2 meters, not focusing far away, or not focusing right in front of yourself. Like leave a space of like 2 to 3 meters, something like that. And then just drop the whole thing, relax, and then focus to your breath. So your breath is the measurement of your mind. So when you breathe out, breathing is no problem. We don't have to really particularly have aggression there to breathe out and breathe in and all this thing. Just be very calm. Breathe out through your nose and breathe in. So when you breathe out and breathe in, have your mind with the breath, And so breath and focusing your mind to the breath will make you realize if you are lost during meditation practice. Supposing you have some thought, of course thought will arise, when you sit. It's not that you will have no thoughts. In fact, you should not even stop your thoughts. Stopping thought is like suppressing your thoughts. And then there will be even more thoughts. So going after thoughts, then again you get distracted and lost. Then you lose the whole point of meditation. So neither you should be lost, nor you should suppress your mind. So then how do? You just simply focus to your breath. When you breathe out, you are there, you are with the breath. And then when you breathe in, you are with the breath. Just simply touch. It's like a touch, that's all. No hard penetration, no forceful way of dealing with your mind. Totally relax and just be with the breath. And that's it. And then don't fall asleep. While you're doing that, if you fall asleep, then you again you lose the point of meditation. You fall into ignorance. In fact, Then if you get too many thoughts arises, don't worry too much because different experiences will arrive at different points in your life. So especially at the beginning meditators, one may experience a lot of thoughts sometimes. It's almost like you wonder where did all this thought came from. It's not that suddenly new thoughts are coming. Before you have not even seen that, before they're happening, but you haven't recognized, you haven't seen your mind. Now, when you begin to see your mind, it seems like there's so many thoughts arising. But when that arises, it's just allow that. Don't try to stop it. Or sometimes completely allow that and just don't make any demand and just be there. It will dissolve. It's like no matter how big the ocean wave is, it has to come down in the ocean itself. No matter how dark the cloud is, the cloud has to dissolve in the space itself. It came from the space, it will dissolve in the space. Ocean waves come from the ocean, it goes back into the ocean. Same thing, all your thoughts come from your mind, it will dissolve in the mind. The only thing which doesn't seem to do that is just your own mind getting after them, trying to cling to them, trying to grasp them, trying to put them in this compartment, this one fits here, this one. You don't want to do that. As I said, don't put demand. Just simply be there. Just walk. And that's it. And that's how you do meditation. Okay, so let's do meditation now. I don't have a gong here, so we will just begin. Okay. So now, if you have any questions, we can have a discussion here.
You can use the raise hand feature if you want to ask a question.
Okay, somebody. Yes?
Kim.
Uh-huh.
Kim can go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, please go ahead. Yes.
Kim.
Kim.
Kim, you have to unmute.
Is it working yet?
Yes, yes. I
Okay.
can hear. Yes.
Okay. I was curious as to, we started working with the fourfold breath meditation last week, and I had a lot of success with it. And before that, what I had been trying was looking at an object, and it was not as easy. Do you think that it's important that I work on that part at this, like one after the other, or what would be the best procedure, as I need to focus a lot on meditation? I think it's a little bit not as balanced as my practice or my study. I don't sit long enough. And I'm wondering if I should just simply work more with the breathing, or I should do both, like one after the other, or what you think.
Whichever is easier, you should follow that for you. Everyone is different.
Okay.
Some people simply like with the breathing. Some people just like without any focus or meditation. To some people like focusing, like looking at an object.
Yeah.
So whichever is easier for you, you must follow that for yourself.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. And don't try to switch too much. Just whichever is good, just stick with that for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was curious. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is Clay.
Okay, Clay.
Please unmute.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear.
Hi, Rinpoche. I'm curious, there's, when you talk about shamatha and vipassana and mahamudra, it gives this sense of progression, this sense of development, like there's somewhere to go. Could you talk a little bit about whether there really is anywhere to go, and that progress from shamatha to vipassana to mahamudra, how that relates to progress versus non-progress?
Yeah. Well, you must have read a book called Journey Without Goal. Also the Suzuki Roshi's book on Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. This is Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. And Chogyam Trungpa's book on Journey Without Goal. And if you look at the traditional teaching, Shunyata, meaning emptiness in English. If there's whenever we say shunyata, emptiness, we have already a preconceived idea, means nothingness. That's not really what shunyata means. So, but at the same time, shunyata is the absence of duality. And if there is absence of duality, your question was, there's a progression, and is there's a place to reach or not to reach? So it's both. there's from the ultimate point of view, as far as the essence of nature or the shunyata is concerned, shunyata is shunyata. There's no beginning, there's no middle, there's no end. You know, that's what shunyata is. Its essence is always free of absence of any fixation. It's not something once in a while is, is fixated, once in a while is partially fixated, once in a while then it's not fixated. It doesn't work that way. The nature of shunyata is always beyond fixation, the absence of inherent existence from the very beginning, in the middle, at the end. You know, that's how the nature is, as it is from the very beginning. That's what basic goodness is, basic sanity is. So the nature of all being with a nature means we all have that inherent quality of enlightened nature. So from that point, there is no, where do you go beside the essence? Essence is, as I said, at the beginning, the essence, in the middle is essence, at the end is essence, is nature of shunyata always. So that's how it is. But then on the conventional level, there is stages to be experienced. There's a beginning level, there's shamatha level, and within shamatha level, there are many levels how a person can achieve this, not really like a degree going to college, but there are differences. We call junior practitioner, we call senior practitioner, we call advanced practitioner, and we call realized practitioner. So there are many levels that you can achieve on a conventional level. There, again, there's a conventional truth and the absolute truth. So it is both. The answer is yes, there's something to achieve. And then on the Mahamudra level, and then Mahamudra level, there is lower Mahamudra level, middle Mahamudra level, higher Mahamudra level. Then in Dzogchen itself, there's mind section, space section, pit instruction section. So their development all the way from 9 yanas. We even claim 9 yanas. So those are all to be achieved. But at the same time, from really, when you look at the essential ultimate truth level, there's nothing to be achieved. Nothing to be achieved doesn't mean stupidity, nothing. It means absence of fixation, because there was no fixation in her nature. So from that point of view, there's nothing to be not fixed, in other words. It is always unfixed. It's always absence of inherent existence. So sorry, my English sometime, unfixed, maybe not the right word. It has never been fixated. So there's nothing to be fixed. There's nothing to be unfixed. Since it's never been fixated in nature, in its nature, what is there to be unfixed? It is completely facade to be infixed. From that point of view, it says in the Dzogchen teaching, this meditation produced through mental analysis is a deceiving enemy. You try to meditate, it itself is a false thing, because the essence is always pure, is always liberated. But then we can't say that, leave it that way, because right now, even the essence is like that, but it's dormant. It's not functioning right now, So we need to really make progress on the path. We need to sit long, and even you get pain in your legs, and then you get thirsty or whatever. You have to sit and endure and discipline. So you have to go through stages and stages to realize that. So yes, there is to be achieved. And as far as the essence is concerned, it is beyond. Beyond means it's never been fixated. The clear light, that's what it is, the clear light, ultimate nature. It's always been clear light. If it's fundamentally not clear light, you cannot make clear light. You cannot make a black charcoal into white, because by nature it is black. Then you cannot make that into white. You can paint it, but it will wash away. But so same thing, the essence of clear light, our awareness, mind has an enlightened quality. And that is unchangeable. It just needs to be realized. It just needs to be recognized and realized. And when it's not realized, that's where we fall into traps of duality. Yeah,
Thank you, Rinpoche.
you're welcome. So right now, that precious gem we have is like dormant, you see. And if it's dormant, it's almost like even this tremendous potential is not working. Our mind is not. Instead, we fall into ignorant. Ignorance means, ignorance doesn't, again, there are many levels of ignorance. There's ignorance of not knowing the nature of reality, which is absolute truth, and ignorant about conventional truth, of not knowing cause and effect. And cause and effect is really complex. For example, when we speak about karma, it's quite complex because there are many kinds of karmic effect. There are karma which will ripen, you can see what you plant, the harvest comes. And there's certain karma will not ripen in this lifetime. No, it ripens after a few lifetimes. So those kind of karma is very hard for people to tell. Sometimes you go through life situation, you don't know it is is it a circumstance or is this a karma? It's very hard to tell. Unless it's like certain karmas are very strong, you can have certain experience. So karma gets very subtle. And so most people cannot see when did you start that karma for the particular karma that you experience now. What was the cause? When did you start it? In what part of your life did you, planted the seed? So it's very hard to say that. But you can have a sense. And when you look at many things you do in your life presently, you work hard so that you're looking for a fruit. So that's karma. In fact, even nihilist people, atheist people who don't believe in karma, they study hard, so they're looking for a good result, which is karma also. They try to do something good, so that they experience something good will happen. So indirectly, it's all karma. There's cause and effect. Any other questions? So then please, two things happening in your life. One thing you seriously needs to be concerned is your basic goodness, your clear light, your awareness. And that needs to come out. If you don't realize that, then everything else become like, your life become a big waste, actually. Because that gem you have, the precious gem you have, which can solve all your problems. For example, as far as the conventional reality is concerned, you can't really be free as long as you live. And as we get old, we have the suffering of old age. We have suffering of sickness. We have suffering of death. We have suffering of birth. The four major suffering. Birth already happened. Then, suffering of old age, suffering of sickness, and suffering of death. We can't really escape from that. As long as this karma remains, is a byproduct of karma, we have to go through that. And there will be many fluctuations, there will be many changes. And you just have to deal with that, you see, that karma. But then further, most important, your precious gem is your enlightened awareness. That can be only achieved through realization, through your sitting practice of meditation, and through your merit. So merit is very important. Because, you know, for example, in order to create merit, you need to have warm-heartedness, you need to have compassionate thought. You cannot practice accumulate merit without compassionate concern for others' well-being, you know, respect, caring for immeasurable compassion, immeasurable kindness, immeasurable rejoice, immeasurable equanimity. You cannot really practice. And if you cannot practice that, your mind will always be submerged in ego and affliction. It cannot come out. So when you practice compassion, for example, you have to give some kind of your self-centered idea. You have to give some part of your ego. That's how you go in other people's space in helping others. Instead of remaining in one's own territory, ego's world, ego's territory, finally you are brave enough to step out and bring the immeasurable compassion, immeasurable kindness. And that purifies what's happening. You know, it purifies your obscuration of ego, of grasping, of afflictions of all kind, habits of all kind. It's purifying that. So when that purifies, you begin to have some clear view within your mind. And then the enlightened qualities of joy, creativity, of compassionate actions, they all will they will be replaced in the place of all neurosis, you see. And that's how you become transformed. And that's how you begin to find liberation from this endless, deep cyclic existence that we keep repeating. We keep going back to the square number one. You're back to square number one in 1900, 1991, you're back to square number one. You've been back to square number one almost every year, you know? So now it's time to get out with the square number one and try to move forward. Last month, square number one. Today, square number one. That's not very good. And that will happen. All we have to do is really focus to the 6 paramita practice, 4 immeasurable practice, and then sitting practice. And that will transform. You need patience, you need discipline, and you need the will to do that, to change yourself. Otherwise, you will always be submerged in affliction and habits. No escape from that for eons and eons. It's not just for like next 20 years or last 30 years. It's really like, mind never dies. Mind is not an object. It keeps going on and on. You simply change your body based on your karma. You know, in this being submerged, you know, we are so afraid to even think about, you know, if you don't know how to swim, if you grasp water in your mouth, even for like a few seconds, how much fear we get that we may die. Imagine the living eons and eons in ignorant. That's more scary than that. Every day your mind is under influence of confusion and affliction. That is something to be seriously concerned about. Yes.
Allison had a question.
Yes, Ellison.
Hi, Rinpoche.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the beautiful teachings. I was just wondering if you could just tell me very briefly, what is the best thing to do if we're entering into a difficult year astrologically?
Well, you just, you know, we have to learn the art of conventional transformation, how to create a conducive environment for yourself. So such as like If it's astrological thing, then traditionally, like for example, I can tell you what happens in Tibet. Traditionally, they go to the Lama and they request divination. Please do if this year is going to be hard for me or not. And then Lama will do a divination, and if it's however the reading comes out, danger for your life, or no danger, or good or bad, according to your question, there will be answer. And then if there is danger for your life, then for example, one which can prolong life is saving lives. Saving life. If you kill something, it says one killing, you have to pay back 500 lifetimes. And same thing, one saving is the equal same, the amount of energy it builds up, you know? So therefore you can save, if a chicken, for example, you go to, today we don't find that much because all chicken are big, producing, you know, but if you go in a village, like in Tibet, for example, you know, you go to the butcher's place and they're taking a goat or a cow to be slaughtered, and then you buy that cow and then you free that in the meadows, you know, or ask someone to take care of it, give it to someone who will not kill and harm. Then you do a prayer, you dedicate that merit, and in that way it prolongs your life, for example. These are cause and effect, you see. So conventional truth. So there are many arts of how to change life in different ways. But then, but most important thing, you know, it shouldn't be that so I'm strong and I'm healthy, now I can engage in more neurotic activities. You see, it should, as a practitioner, Dharma practitioner, our main focus is, you know, deep answer to the very fundamental question of life. Transformation, and we find that in bodhicitta, in enlightenment. So logic, teaching, instruction are very important in your direct experience, how to grow. So that's very more important.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
You're welcome. It shouldn't be that we are healthy and we can engage in more affliction and neurosis, which most
No,
people
I think
do.
I was just, I'm a rabbit and we're going into a rabbit year.
This year is, yeah.
Water rabbit.
I'm water rabbit.
You should jump. Just, yeah, so like that. So
Okay.
engage in you know, compassionate activities,
Okay.
and that will remove obstacles of all kind. Yeah.
Thank you.
Next question. Okay then. So then we will conclude here tonight. Let's do a world peace prayer. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, perfectly rises. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience, thus defeat the neuroses which are the enemies, from the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death.
From the ocean
Through ocean of
existence, may all beings
things being liberated. Okay, very good. Thank you. So every day, please have a discipline in your meditation practice. You know, you have a precious human body. And the biggest gem is your mind. Make your mind into gem, not into something opposite of precious gem. Okay, that is the most important. Because your mind can lead you to liberation. Your mind can lead and create hell also. It can be, it can create tremendous suffering if you are not clear about your mind. So whole thing about is working with oneself and finding liberation is really what Dharma is about. Dharma has no other meaning than that, to discovering oneself. And the method is given to you in the Dharma. The essence you already have within yourself. How the method is given in the Dharma. So apply the method properly, and then you will see the result. Okay, thank you.
Can we
Good
recite your
night.
long life, please?
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.